On our 7th wedding anniversary, I waited for 2 hours at a Michelin-starred restaurant. Finally, I saw Cruz Chin arrive, with his 26-year-old subordinate in his arms. Rear. He froze for a moment. "What are you doing here?" I smiled and glanced at the fluctuating stock chart on my phone. "Waiting for you. Isn't today our anniversary?" Oh, he released his grip. From the girl's waist, I forgot. The girl cooed sweetly, "Brother Cruz, who is this? My wife." He introduced casually, as if mentioning something trivial. "So this is sister-in-law." Isla Bai, I knew her name, looked me up and down, her gaze sweeping from my slightly disheveled hair to my stained flats. My apologies. I stood up, picked up my bag. "I won't disturb you anymore." "Wait," Cruz Chin suddenly called out to me. "Actually, there's something I want to say to you." I turned back and looked at this man. 7 years ago, he was still a spirited programmer who clumsily knelt on one knee to propose on my birthday. "Have a seat." He pointed to the spot beside him. Isla Bai naturally sat down beside him, leaving me no choice but to sit across from them. The waiter approached. "May I take your order?" "2 Wellington steaks," Cruz Chin said without even glancing at me, "and a bottle of 82 Lafite." "Sir, the 82 Lafite requires prior reservation." "Then bring a good bottle." He waved his hand impatiently. I glanced at the prices on the menu and couldn't help saying, "This meal costs enough to buy groceries for a whole month." Isla Bai covered her mouth with a light laugh. "Sis-in-law really knows how to live frugally." "Yeah, she's especially good at it," Cruz Chin sneered. "So good that out of the 30,000 yuan I give her monthly for living expenses, she can save me 28,000. I remained silent. "The 28,000 is all in my stock account." "Ria, let's talk," Cruz Chin said seriously. "This life is unbearable." "Oh, look at what you've become." He frowned. "You don't style your hair, you don't buy clothes. All you do every day is stay at home with the kids. Do you even remember what you used to be like?" Of course I remember. The rear Lin from before was an elite investment banker, earning $1 million a year, striding through the CBD every day in 10 centimeters heels. "Brother Cruz is right." Isla Bai chimed in at the perfect moment. "A woman should still have her own career, though I can't compare to how sister-in-law was back then. At least I'm a department manager now, and can help share some of Cruz's burdens. Look at her." Cruz Chen's gaze lingered on Isla Bai for a few seconds before turning back to me. "Now look at you." I picked up the water glass and took a sip. My phone vibrated. I glanced at it. A certain stock had hit the limit up. "Let's get a divorce." Cruz Chen finally got to the point. "Reason? Do I need a reason?" he said impatiently. "Don't you have any self-awareness? A woman who can't even support herself. Do you expect me to take care of you for the rest of your life?" Isla Bai smiled again. "Brother Cruz, don't be so harsh. Sister-in-law has given her youth for this family." "Youth? Where was he when I spent the whole night in the bathroom taking care of our feverish daughter? Where was he when I was so exhausted I could fall asleep standing in the kitchen? Where was he when I went to prenatal checkups alone and entered the delivery room by myself?" "What about Xiao Man?" I asked. "I'll take care of her," he said generously. "After all, she's my daughter." "No need." I shook my head. "I'll raise my own daughter myself." Cruz Chin laughed as if he'd heard the biggest joke. "With what?" Just then the steak arrived. The aroma was enticing and the presentation exquisite. Isla Bai cut a piece and put it in her mouth. It's delicious, sister-in-law. Won't you try some?" I stood up. "No, I still have to go back and cook for my daughter." "Ria Lin," Cruz Chin called out to me. "We're going to the civil affairs office tomorrow." I turned to look at him. "Cruz Chin, are you sure?" "Bullshit." "Alright then," I smiled. "See you tomorrow." Leaving the restaurant, it started raining outside. I didn't have an umbrella, so I just walked in the rain. My phone vibrated again, and I glanced at it. Account balance, 327, 650 yuan. Rain mixed with tears streamed down. 7 years, it's time to end this. The next morning, I woke up at 6 as usual. First, I made Xiaoman's favorite pumpkin porridge, then fried 2 sunny-side-up eggs and sliced some ham. "Mom," Xiaoman said, rubbing her eyes as she came out of the room, "where's Dad?" "Dad went to work. But today is Saturday. Dad has to work overtime." Xiaoman pouted and sat at the dining table. "Dad hasn't played with me for so long." I patted her head. "Be good. Eat your meal first." Cruz Chin didn't come back until 8 o'clock, still wearing yesterday's clothes. He frowned at the Breakfast on the dining table. Didn't we agree to get divorced? The Civil Affairs Bureau. Doesn't open until 9, I said calmly. Have something to eat. I'm not hungry, whatever. Xiaoman looked up. Dad. Where were you last night? Cruz Chen said impatiently. Kids shouldn't poke their noses into others' business. Mom said you were working overtime. Eat your food. Xiaoman shrank back in fear, her eyes turning red. I pulled her into my arms. It's okay. Daddy's just in a bad mood. Come, let mommy feed you. Cruz Chen watched us mother and daughter with a complicated expression in his eyes. Are you really sure about this? It's not about me being sure. I continued feeding Xiaoman porridge. It's about you being sure. I'm doing this for your own good. He sat down. If you keep going like this, your life will be ruined. I smiled without saying a word. Ruined. I glanced at the portfolio return on my phone. Plus 892, 37%. Dad, what are you talking about? Xiaoman asked uneasily. Nothing. I kissed her forehead. Eat up. Mom will take you to the amusement park later. Really? Xiaoman's eyes lit up. Of course. But she looked at Cruz Chen. Is Daddy coming? Daddy has something to do. Cruz Chen stood up. Let's go. Don't waste time. I wiped Xiaoman's mouth clean. Sweetie, be good at home. Mommy will go out for a bit and be back soon. Where is Mommy going? Mom went to. I paused to take care of some grown-up business. As I left the house, I glanced back at it one last time. 7 years, every corner of it bears my effort and care. The living room sofa was my choice. The dining table was my pick. Even the wedding photo on the wall was hung there at my insistence. And he said, this life is unbearable. Let's go. Cruz Chen urged. Impatiently, I closed the door and said goodbye in my heart. On the way, Cruz Chen answered several phone calls. Okay, I'll be right over as soon as I finish this. Don't worry, it won't take long. Tonight, sure, same place as usual. I knew who was on the other end of the line. Are you in such a hurry? I asked. What hurry? He played dumb. Never mind, there were already quite a few people lining up at the Civil Affairs Bureau entrance. There were young couples holding their children to get their marriage certificates, their faces full of happiness. There were also those like us here for divorce, with varied expressions. How ironic. Cruz Chen suddenly said, what, 7 years ago we were also standing in this line. I remember now. It was raining that day too, holding an umbrella. He grinned foolishly and said, wife, I'll take care of you from now on. Yeah, I said, time flies, it's our turn. Now, the staff member routinely asked, are both parties willing? Yes, Cruz Chen answered first. Have you settled the division of property? It's settled. He answered again. The house and car go to me. She doesn't want anything. The staff member looked at me. Is that correct? I nodded. The house was bought before marriage, and the car was purchased by his parents. None of it was ever my concern. What about the child? He stays with me. I said. She left with nothing but the clothes on her back. Cruz Chen added. The staff frowned. You need to think this through carefully. I've thought it through very clearly, but raising a child alone, I can handle it. I smiled. Thanks for your concern. The paperwork was processed quickly, and 10 minutes later, we received our divorce certificates. The little green booklet marked the end of a marriage. Is there anything else you need to take? Cruz Chen asked. Grab it and move out quickly. No need. I said, I'm moving this afternoon so soon. He seemed surprised. Yeah, I've had the place picked out for a while. A place? He laughed. Where'd you get the money to rent? I didn't answer, turned around and left. Rear Lin, he called after me. Don't push yourself too hard. If you can't hold on, just tell me. For Xiaoman's sake, I won't abandon you too. I waved my hand. Without looking back, can't hold on, I opened my mobile banking app and stared at that string of numbers. Cruz Chen. Oh, Cruz Chen, you'll never know what this woman you look down on has done all these years. At 2 p.m. sharp, the moving company's truck arrived on time. I don't have much to take with me, mainly Xiaoman's toys, clothes, and some daily necessities. Mom, where are we going? Xiaoman asked uneasily, clutching her teddy bear. To our new home. Why are we moving? Because I crouched down to look at her. Mom found you a better house with a big balcony where you can grow flowers. What about Dad? I paused for a moment. Dad needs to stay here for work. Xiaoman nodded, not fully understanding. At this moment, Cruz Chen returned with Isla Bai. Found a sucker so quickly. He glanced at the movers and said sarcastically. Isla Bai held his arm. Brother Cruz, don't talk about sister-in-law like that. Did I say something wrong? Cruz Chin sneered. What else can she do besides finding a man to support her? The movers exchanged glances. I ignored him and continued directing the workers. Be careful with this box. It contains fragile items. Fiskatske Islabai shook her head. How pitiful. The home you worked so hard to build. Just falling apart like this, Mom. Xiaoman suddenly ran over, pointing at Islabai. Who is this Annie? It's Dad's friend, but last time I saw her photo in Dad's phone. And Dad said she's the bad auntie from the company. The air suddenly turned silent. Islabai's expression changed. Cruz Chin flew into a rage. Don't talk nonsense, kid. I'm not talking nonsense, Xiaoman said stubbornly. Dad also said she looks like a fox spirit. You enough, I picked up Xiaoman. Don't scare the child. Cruz Chin took a deep breath. Don't be an eyesore here. Half an hour later, everything was loaded onto the truck. I took one last look at this home. Rearlin, Cruz Chin suddenly called out to me. Anything else, you really have somewhere to go. I smiled. What, worried I'll end up homeless? And embarrass you? That's not what I meant. Don't worry, I held Xiaoman and got into the car. From now on, we'll go our separate ways. The car started in the rear view mirror. Cruz Chin stood there with a somewhat complicated expression. Islabai held his arm, saying something. Mom, Xiaoman asked softly, will we ever come back? No. Then can I still see Dad? I patted her head. Of course you can whenever you want, but Daddy doesn't seem to like me anymore. My heart ached. No, sweetheart. Daddy is just too busy. Xiaoman nodded and hugged her teddy bear. Tighter. The car drove for 20 minutes and stopped at the entrance of an upscale residential area in the city center. We're here, the driver said. I carried Xiaoman out of the car. Wow. Xiaoman's eyes widened. What a beautiful house. This is Thompson Riviera, one of the most expensive properties in Shanghai. I've had my eye on an apartment here for a long time, just waiting for. Today, madam, where should we move your belongings? The worker asked. 29th floor, unit 2901, the security guard saw me and respectfully opened the door. Miss Lin, you're back? Millimeter, I nodded, while writing. The elevator, Xiaoman excitedly bounced around. Mom, this place is so fancy. Do you like it? I love it. Opening the door, a 180 square meter Riverview apartment unfolds before our eyes. The floor to ceiling windows offer a panoramic view of the entire Huangpu River. Wow. Xiaoman runs to the window. Mom, look, so many boats. I walked over with a smile. From now on, this will be our home. Really, of course, but Mom, Xiaoman suddenly remembered something. Dad said you don't have any money. Dad doesn't understand, Mom. Mom has many secrets that Dad doesn't know about. What secret? You'll know when you grow up. In the evening, after settling Xiaoman to sleep, I sat in the study. I turned on the computer and logged into the securities account. Today is another day of bountiful harvest. I sent a message to my investment mentor. Teacher, I got divorced. Soon came the reply. Congratulations on your liberation. Remember, the best investment is investing in yourself. I laughed. Yes, investing in myself. When I received the first grocery money from Cruz Chin, I understood this truth. Since he looked down on housewives, I would show him housewives can also have their own sky. 3 days after the divorce, I went to the kindergarten to pick up Xiaoman. Just arrived at the door when I overheard a few moms gossiping. Cruz Chin got divorced. Really, but wasn't his wife a stay-at-home mom? Exactly. She couldn't do anything. Serves her right for getting dumped. I didn't speak, waiting quietly. At that moment, Cruz Chen's mother arrived. Well, if it isn't Realin, she said sarcastically. What? Still have the nerve to pick up your child? Xiaoman is my daughter. Why can't I come to pick her up? Your daughter? The old woman sneered. Are you worthy? A woman who can't even support herself. The surrounding parents all turned to look. Mom. Cruz Chin also arrived, accompanied by Islabai. Cruz, you came just in time. The old woman pointed at me. She actually has the nerve to come pick up Xiaoman. Islabai affectionately held the old lady's arm. Auntie, don't be angry. Sister-in-law is also Xiaoman's mother. What sister-in-law? The old lady glared at me. They're already divorced, Mommy. Xiaoman ran out of the kindergarten and threw herself into my arms. Sweetheart, I picked her up. Xiaoman. Cruz Chin walked over. Come home with Daddy. Xiaoman shook her head. I want to stay with Mommy. be good. He reached out to pick her up. Xiaoman clung tightly to my neck. No, I want mommy. Look what you've taught her. The old lady stomped her feet in anger. At that moment, Islabai spoke up. Xiaoman, Annie bought you a toy. She took out a Barbie doll from her bag. Xiaoman didn't even glance at it. I don't want it. How can this child be so rude? The old lady grew even angrier. Grandma is bad. Xiaoman suddenly shouted loudly. Grandma always scolds mom. You and dad too? Xiaoman's voice grew louder as she spoke. Dad never plays with me. And he even brings bad aunties home. The parents around whispered among themselves. Cruz Chen's face turned livid. Ria Lin, is this what you taught? What did I teach? I looked at him calmly. Isn't what the child said the truth, you Cruz Chen? I interrupted him. The divorce agreement clearly states that Xiaoman's custody belongs to me. That was a moment of foolishness on my part. Oh, I laughed, having second thoughts. I'm her father. I have visitation rights. I didn't say you couldn't see her. I turn around holding Xiaoman, but only if Xiaoman is willing. Stop right there. The old woman blocked my path. What right do you have to take my granddaughter away? By the divorce agreement. How can someone without a job raise a child? She shouted loudly. Everyone be the judge. Does this kind of woman deserve to be a mother? The crowd of onlookers grew larger. I took a deep breath and was about to speak when a voice rang out. Ria Lin, is that really you? I turned around and saw a woman dressed in professional attire. Here's my college classmate and now a partner at an investment firm. Yuking, what a coincidence. She walked over. I was just about to reach out to you. Remember that stock you recommended last time? It's gone through the roof. Cruz Chun froze. You invest in stocks. He looked at me incredulously. Yuking laughed. More than just investing. Her insights are sharper than us professionals, by the way. Would you be interested in joining our company? Well, don't be modest. Yuking patted my shoulder. Even my boss said your analysis report on pharmaceutical stocks was absolutely brilliant. The old lady opened her mouth but couldn't speak. Islabai also looked somewhat awkward. Let's talk another day, I said to Yuking. I'll take the child home first. Okay. Keep in touch. I carried Xiaoman away as the old woman's voice came from behind. Stop pretending. They must be in cahoots. I didn't look back. Some people aren't worth wasting words on. Time will tell the truth. On the weekend, my college best friends whom I hadn't seen for years organized a gathering. The venue was at a high-end restaurant on the Bund. I hesitated for a long time but finally decided to go. Oh my, Ria Lin is here. As soon as I entered the private room, I was warmly pulled to my seat. Everyone present were former classmates, now all successful professionals in their careers. Ria, long time no see. The speaker was Meng Sisi, now an executive at a major company. Yeah, I smiled in response. I heard you quit your job after getting married, another classmate asked. Yeah, staying home to take care of the kids. The atmosphere suddenly became a bit awkward. What a shame. Meng Sisi shook her head. You were the top student in our department back then, winning scholarships every year, and joined Goldman Sachs right after graduation. Yes, how many people envy you, but in the end, the words were left unfinished. But the meaning was clear. I picked up the teacup and didn't respond. By the way, where's your husband? Someone asked. Divorced. The private room fell silent for a moment. Good riddance. Meng Sisi patted my hand. That kind of man isn't worth it. How do you know it's his fault? Another classmate whispered. Isn't it obvious? Ria is so outstanding. It must be the man who cheated. Not necessarily, said Wang Lu, who had always disliked me. Some people just become useless after marriage. Staying at home all day. Who wouldn't get tired of that? Wang Lu? Meng Sisi frowned. Did I say something wrong? Wang Lu crossed her legs. Women should still have their own careers. Look at me, my annual salary is almost breaking $1 million. Oh, I responded flatly. What do you mean? Oh, she said, displeased. Ria Lin, I'm not trying to criticize you, but look at the state you're in now. She gave me a once-over. What are you wearing? Uniqlo, and your bag, a Taobao knockoff. She's a full-time mom now. Where would she get the money for luxury goods? Someone chimed in sarcastically. I looked down at myself. Indeed, I was dressed very plainly today. White t-shirt, jeans, and canvas shoes. The bag is also a canvas one as long as it can hold a wallet and a phone. What a shame, Wang Lu said insincerely. The department's beauty. Back then. But now, enough? Meng Sisi interrupted her. Sisi, I'm doing this for her own good. Wang Lu argued righteously. A woman in her 30s, without a job or income, divorced and with a child. What will she do in the future? Exactly, finding a job is so hard these days, especially since she's been out of society for so many years. If you ask me, she'd be better off marrying a man. The sound of everyone talking at once could be heard. I listened quietly, suddenly feeling the urge to laugh. At that moment, the waiter entered. May we serve the dishes now? Go ahead, Meng Sisi said. The dishes arrived quickly. All exquisite French cuisine. Come on. Let's chat while we eat. By the way, Ria Lin, Wang Lu suddenly said, for the AA split, I'll cover your share. No need. Don't be polite, she said with a condescending expression. I know you're tight on money right now. Really, no need. Come on, we're classmates. Beep. My phone rang. It's a text message from the securities company that Songda Pharmaceuticals stock you hold has hit the daily limit up today with a current return rate of 127.34%. Wang Lu caught a glimpse of it. Stock trading, just a small retail investor, sort of. Don't mess with that. 9 out of 10 stock traders lose money. She shook her head. The little money you have isn't even enough to pay for the tuition fees. At that moment, Yuking pushed the door open and came in. Sorry I'm late, she said breathlessly. Just got out of a meeting. Yuking is here too. Everyone greeted her in unison. Yuking was quite famous in the investment circle, and everyone gave her respect. Ria, why didn't you tell me you were coming too? She sat down beside me. Last minute decision. By the way, she pulled out a document from her bag. Here's the cooperation agreement. Take a look. What cooperation?
Meng
Sisi asked curiously. Oh, I'd like to invite Ria to be our company's investment consultant, Yuking said with a smile. The private room fell silent. Investment consultant. Wang Lu couldn't believe it. What's wrong? Yuking frowned. Ria's capabilities are there for all to see. But what about her? Yuking said unhappily. Do you know how amazing she is? The 3 stocks she recommended to me last year had an average return of over 200%. 200%, someone gasped in astonishment. More than that, Yuking continued. Last month, the industry analysis report she sent me made even our investment committee members feel inadequate. Wang Lu's expression changed. Ria, Yuking turned to me. Starting at 3 million per year plus bonuses. Interested, I thought. For a moment, I might not have time to work in the office. No problem. You can work remotely, Yuking said sincerely. It's mainly providing investment advice. You can set your own schedule. Let me think about it. Don't think about it, Yuking said anxiously. Do you know how many people want to poach you? Just then my phone rang. It was Xiaoman. Mom, when are you coming back? Be good, sweetie. Mom will be back soon. I miss you. Mom misses you too. After hanging up the phone, I stood up. Sorry, I have to go now. Leaving already? Meng Sisi tried to stop me. My child is waiting for me at home. Let me walk you out. Yuking also stood up. No need. I'll take a taxi myself. Before leaving, I glanced at Wang Lu. She kept her head down, looking very upset. After leaving the restaurant, I took a deep breath. Actually, I have thought about returning to the workplace, but now I have more important things to do. Watching Xiaoman grow up is more important than anything else. As for those looks of disdain and mockery, time will tell. 1 month after the divorce, that day, I took Xiaoman to the mall and, unexpectedly, ran into Cruz Chin. He was standing alone at the entrance of a luxury store, looking solemn. Dad. Xiaoman instinctively hid behind me when he saw him. Cruz Chin froze for a moment when he saw us after a month apart. He had lost a lot of weight, with a stubble of dark beard on his chin. Xiaoman, he forced a smile. Xiaoman ignored him. What's wrong? I asked. You don't look well. Nothing. He shook his head. At that moment, Isla Bai came out of the store carrying several shopping bags. Do you think this bag looks nice? She waved the Hermes in her hand. Cruz Chen's expression darkened even more. Only then did Isla Bai notice us. Oh, is it? Isn't this the ex-sister-in-law? It's you, I said calmly. Oh dear, look at me. She held onto Cruz Chen's arm. I completely forgot you two are already divorced. Cruz Chen shook off her hand, stopped fooling around. What's the big deal? Isla Bai pouted. I just want a bag. Didn't I just buy you one yesterday? I don't like that color. I picked up Xiaoman. We're leaving first. Wait, Cruz Chen suddenly called out to me. Something else? He hesitated. Then finally asked, how has Xiaoman been lately? She's doing well. Has she asked about me? Xiaoman buried her face in my shoulder and didn't speak. Isla, Bai stomped her foot in dissatisfaction. Why do you care about them? Cruz Chen glanced at her irritably. I turned to leave when my phone rang. MS Lin. An unfamiliar voice came from the other end of the line. It's me. I'm the secretary of Huading Group. Our chairman would like to meet with you to discuss investment cooperation. Huading Group? I was somewhat surprised. Cruz Chen's expression suddenly changed. Yes, our chairman has read your investment analysis report and is very interested, I see. If it's convenient, tomorrow at 3 p.m. in the executive lounge of the Shangri-La Hotel. All right. I'll be there on time. After hanging up the phone, Cruz Chen stared at me. Huading Group is looking for you. Yeah, do you know their chairman? No, I shook my head. Maybe they got my contact through a friend. Cruz Chen's expression was complicated. I know what he's thinking. Huading Group is their company's largest client, accounting for nearly 40% of their business volume. Recently, there's been talk that Huading is planning to change suppliers. He hesitantly began. Could you? Cruz brother, Isla Bai interrupted him. We should go, or we'll be late for the spa. Cruz Chen gave me a deep look, but in the end, he said nothing. In the evening, I received a call from Meng Cici. Ria, did you know? Cruz Chen's company hasn't been doing well lately. Oh, Huading Group is terminating the collaboration, and their company might lay off half of its employees. I see. I heard it's because he offended someone. Meng Cici lowered her voice. Seems related to that little girlfriend of his. I remained silent. Don't you think he deserves it? Meng Cici said indignantly. After how he treated you back then, now he's getting his comeuppance. Cici, I interrupted her. These things have nothing to do with me anymore. True, she sighed. By the way, are you really going to work at Huading? Not work, just as an investment consultant. That's still impressive, Meng Cici said excitedly. Huading's investment division is top tier in the industry. After hanging up the phone, I gazed at the night scene outside the window. To be honest, I wasn't surprised that Huading reached out to me. Over the past 6 months, I've written over a dozen industry research reports, published on some professional forums. I used a pseudonym, but everyone in the industry knew who it was. I'm not doing this for fame, just to prove one thing. Even as a full-time mom, one can maintain professional competence. Mommy, Xiaoman came over and hugged my leg. Is Daddy in trouble? I patted her head. Why do you ask that? He looks unhappy. The baby is so kind. Mom, should we help Dad? I thought about it. If Dad needs help, Mom will consider it. Mom is the best. I picked her up, feeling a mix of emotions. You left so resolutely back then. Now, how should we end this? The next afternoon, I arrived at the Shangri-La Hotel on time. I changed into formal attire and applied light makeup. MS Lin, the chairman is waiting for you. The secretary led me into the executive lounge. As I pushed the door open, I froze in surprise. Long time no see. Ria Lin, sitting on the couch, was my college roommate. Su Mingyu, I exclaimed in surprise. You're the chairman of Huading. Surprise. She stood up with a smile and gave me a hug. What a wonderful surprise, I said sincerely. Back in school, she was already a prominent figure. After graduation, she started her own business. I never expected it to be this successful. Come, have a seat, she said, pulling me down. I read the report you wrote. It's truly excellent. You flatter me. Don't be modest. Su Mingyu said earnestly, especially that analysis of the pharmaceutical industry. Even our investment director admitted he couldn't match it. I just have some personal insights. That's precisely what's most valuable. She poured me a cup of tea. Ria, the bright moon. I know you have children to take care of. She interrupted me. So I've come up with a solution. She produced a document. Independent consultant. No office hours required. Project-based payment. Just give us some advice when you're available. I flipped through the contract. The terms were indeed very generous. And there's more, Su Mingyu added. The company has a daycare center. You can bring Xiaoman with you. You've thought of everything. I'm a mother too. So I understand your struggles. She took my hand. Ria, your talent shouldn't go to waste. I was silent for a moment. Let me think about it. Of course, she said understandingly. But there's something I'd like to ask you. What is it? Do you know anything about Cruz Chen's company? My heart skipped a beat. What's wrong? They've been having some issues lately. Su Mingyu frowned. A project was poorly executed and what? They have a female employee? Seems to be named Isla Bai. She often misbehaves outside using the company's name. Suddenly, it all made sense to me. At a recent important client dinner, she got drunk and started arguing with the client on the spot. Su Mingyu shook her head. Such incidents create a very bad impression when they get out, so you're terminating the partnership. It's not just that reason. She sighed. The main issue is their proposals really aren't cutting it anymore. Their innovation capabilities have significantly declined. I remained silent. Cruz Chen's company was able to secure Huading as a major client in the first place, and truth be told, I played a part in that. Back then, I leveraged my connections to help him bridge the gap. In fact, the core ideas of many plans were provided by me, but he never thought anything of it. In his eyes, it was all his own ability. Ria, Su Mingyu looked at me. I know he's your ex-husband. If you feel uncomfortable, don't make it difficult. I shook my head. Business is business. That's good. She breathed a sigh of relief. Actually, we're already looking for new partners. After chatting for a while, I stood up to leave. Ria, Su Mingyu walked me to the door. No matter what decision you make, we'll always be friends. Thank you, Mingyu. Stepping out of the hotel, the sunlight was just right. I took a deep breath and sent Hu Qing a message. I've signed that cooperation agreement. It's time to start over. Not to prove anything to anyone, but for myself. After signing 2 consulting contracts, my life has become much more fulfilling. Spending the day with Xiaoman and working late into the night, though tiring, it's fulfilling. That day, while I was writing a report at home, the doorbell rang. Opening the door, Cruz Chin stood outside. He looked terribly haggard, his eyes bloodshot. Can I help you? Could I come in and sit for a while? Seeing his condition, I stepped aside to let him pass. Where's Xiaoman? He looked around, sleeping in the room. He nodded and slumped onto the sofa. Want some water? No need. He looked up at me. Ria Lin, I was wrong. I froze for a moment. I was truly wrong. He covered his face. I shouldn't have treated you that way. What's past? Hu Ding terminated the partnership. The company is laying off 60% of its staff. I stayed silent. I might be laid off too. He forced a bitter smile. The position of technical director has been coveted by others for a long time. My condolences. Can't you just comfort me a little? He looked up, his eyes slightly red. We're already divorced. I reminded him. I know. He took a deep breath. Could you talk to Hu Ding for me? I frowned. Talk about what? Beg them for another chance. He said urgently. I know you know their people. Cruz Chin, I looked at him. Do you think this is appropriate? You were the one who said we should each go our own way. I know I'm an arsehole. He suddenly became agitated. But Ria Lin, for Xiaoman's sake, don't bring Xiaoman into this. I interrupted him. Have you ever cared about her? He was left speechless. How many times have you visited her this past month? I've been busy with work, busy accompanying your Isla Bai. I broke up with her. He hastily explained. She's just a pretty face, understands nothing, and keeps causing trouble everywhere. I sneered. Now you realize, Ria Lin. He suddenly knelt down. What are you doing? I was startled. Please, his eyes were red. I'm truly at the end of my rope. Get up. I won't get up unless you agree, Mom. Xiaoman came out of the room, rubbing her eyes. Seeing her father kneeling on the ground, she got scared and hid behind me. Cruz Chin froze. Xiaoman, Daddy, why are you kneeling? Xiaoman asked timidly. Cruz Chen's face turned bright red as he slowly stood up. Dad is looking for something. Xiaoman clearly didn't believe it but remained silent. You should go back first. I picked up. Xiaoman, we can talk about whatever it is after the child goes to school. Cruz Chin nodded dejectedly and turned to leave. Closing the door, Xiaoman asked, Mom, did Dad do something wrong? Why do you ask that? The teacher said people only kneel to apologize when they've done something wrong. I patted her head, unsure how to explain. At night, I tossed and turned in bed. I recalled how Cruz Chun was when we first met. Back then, he was full of vigor and ideals. What made him become like this? Is it the arrogance that comes with success? Is it the flattery from those around you? Or is it the unwillingness to accept an ordinary life? I don't know, but I know once certain paths are chosen, there's no turning back. The next day, Su Mingyu called. Ria, has Cruz Chun contacted you? How did you know he came to the company today and knelt in the lobby for 2 hours? I was shocked. What? Even the security guards couldn't bear to watch. Su Mingyu sighed. Ria, what's going on with this guy? He might be genuinely desperate. Being in a hurry doesn't justify this. Su Mingyu sighed helplessly. You're putting us in a difficult position. I'm sorry for causing you trouble. What are you talking about? She comforted me. But Ria, have you really not considered remarrying? Absolutely not, I said firmly. That's good. She sighed in relief. A man like that isn't worth it. After hanging up the phone, I looked out the window. Cruz Chun. Oh, Cruz Chun, you finally tasted the bitterness of being looked down upon. But who can we blame for this? A week later, Cruz Chun came knocking again. This time, he brought someone I never expected, his mother, Ria Lin, the old lady said, forcing a smile and dropping her usual haughty demeanor. May we come in and sit down? I stepped aside to make way. The two sat on the sofa, and the old woman began to wipe her tears. Ria Lin, it was my fault before. I apologize to you. Holding the teacup, I remained unmoved. Mom knows she was wrong. She continued, you're magnanimous. Please forgive Cruz, Mom. Cruz Chun said in a low voice. Don't be like this. What else can I do? The old lady glared at him. It's all because you're so disappointing. Then she turned to me again. Ria Lin, Cruz knows he was wrong. Please give him another chance. Annie, I set down the teacup. We're already divorced. Divorce can be undone. The old lady grew anxious. If you're willing, we can remarry right away. I'm not willing. You. The old lady's expression darkened, but she quickly forced a smile back on her face. Ria Lin, name your terms. Just say what you want. I don't have the means. The house, she suddenly said. We'll put the house in your name. Cruz Chun frowned. Mom. Shut up. The old lady cut him off. Then said to me, and the car, the savings, they'll all be yours. I laughed. Auntie. Are you misunderstanding something? What do you mean? I don't lack money. I stood up. Nor do I lack a house. You. The old woman looked me up and down. You, unemployed. Who said I'm unemployed? At this moment, my phone rang. Consultant Lin, your consultation fee has been transferred. Please check. I glanced at it. It was Warding's finance department. Okay. Received. After hanging up the phone, I looked at the mother and son. Sorry about that. It was the company's finance department. Company. The old lady was stunned. Yes, I'm currently a consultant for 2 investment firms, I said calmly. My monthly income is slightly higher than Cruz Chen's. Cruz Chen's face turned deathly pale. Impossible, the old lady shrieked. You're just a housewife. Auntie, I interrupted her. What's wrong with being a housewife? I'm a full-time mom, but that doesn't mean I'm incapable of anything else. I looked at Cruz Chen. For the past 5 years, I've been learning and growing, but you never mentioned, he murmured. Did you ever give me the chance to speak? I retorted. In your eyes, what else am I good for besides cooking and taking care of the kids? He was left speechless. Forget it. Let's not talk about this anymore. I glanced at the time. I have a video conference in a bit. Reel in. The old woman suddenly grabbed my hand. Please help Cruz. I can't help. You can. She held on to me tightly. Don't you know people from Huading? So what? Go and plead with them to continue the cooperation. I shook off her hand. Annie, there's no room for personal favors in business. You heartless woman. The old lady finally showed her true colors. After all the money Cruz gave you. Mom. Cruz Chen quickly grabbed her arm. Did I say something wrong? The old lady was furious. She made a fortune in the stock market with your money, and now she's turning her back on you? I laughed. Annie, let me do the math for you. I took out my phone and opened the calculator. Cruz Chun gives me $30,000 in living expenses every month, totaling $1.8 million over 5 years. Out of this $1.8 million, the mortgage is $8,000 per month, property fees are $2,000, and Xiamon's formula, diapers, and early education costs average $10,000 monthly, utilities, gas, and internet cost $2,000 per month, food, clothing, and daily expenses for me and Xiaoman are $5,000 monthly. The remaining money I save and invest all of it, 5 years, turning $1.8 million into $8 million. I looked at her shocked expression. Is this called using his money? This is called my ability. The old lady was speechless. So by the way, I added, out of the investment Principal, there was also 500,000 from my pre-marriage savings. Cruz chin slumped onto the sofa. So you've been planning for this family all along. I finished his sentence. But unfortunately, you couldn't see it. Mom. Xiaoman ran out and threw herself into my arms. Seeing Cruz Chen, she timidly called out, "Daddy." Cruz Chen's eyes reddened. "Xiaoman, Daddy missed you." Instead of avoiding him like before, Xiaoman walked over and gently tugged at his hand. "Dad, don't cry." This single sentence completely shattered Cruz Chen. He hugged his daughter. Choking back sobs, I turned away, unable to watch the scene. Some tears come too late. 3 months later, my career was gaining momentum, and both companies were satisfied. With my work, recently several other institutions have been reaching out to me. "Consultant Lin, your analysis was absolutely brilliant," Yuking exclaimed excitedly over the phone. "That pharmaceutical stock has surged by 300%. Don't be so modest," she laughed. "By the way, you can look forward to the year-end bonus." After hanging up, I went back to writing my report. At this moment, a transfer notification popped up on the phone. It was from Cruz Chen, who transferred 50,000. Note, child support for Xiaoman. After some thought, I accepted it. This is his duty as a father. After that incident, he never bothered us again. I heard he kept his job, but was demoted. Eslav I left long ago, reportedly finding another sugar daddy, and his mother never appeared again. "Mom, can we go to the amusement park?" Xiaoman tugged at my hand. "Sure, I saved the file." "Mom will take you." Yay. While packing my things, I came across the divorce certificate. The small green booklet lay quietly in the drawer. I picked it up and flipped through it. In the photo, I looked haggard and lost. Now then, I look into the mirror. The woman in the mirror is confident and composed. "Mommy, what are you smiling about?" Xiaoman asks curiously. Mom was thinking, "Life is truly wonderful." "Why is it wonderful?" "Because I picked her up." Mom realized that only by stepping out of the comfort zone can one meet a better version of oneself. "I don't understand." "It's okay. You'll understand when you grow up." At the amusement park, we had a great time on the merry-go-round. Xiaoman laughed happily. I took out my phone to capture this moment. "Mom, let's take a photo." "Okay, should we ask Dad to join us?" she suddenly asked. I paused for a moment. "Do you miss Dad?" "A little bit," she admitted honestly. "But Mom is more important." "Silly child." I kissed her. "Dad will always be your dad." "I know." She hugged my neck. "But Mom is the best." "Why do you say that?" "Because Mom can earn money, cook, and play with me." I laughed. In a child's heart, the definition of greatness is so simple. But behind this simplicity lies a mother's complete effort. The sun sets in the west. We sat on the park bench, eating ice cream. "Mom," Xiaoman asked while licking her ice cream, "will we always be like this in the future?" "Like what? Just the two of us?" I thought to myself, maybe yes, maybe no. What if there's a new dad? I looked at her in surprise. "Classmates say divorced people get married again," she said seriously. "Sweetheart," I said to her earnestly, "no matter what happens in the future, Mommy will always love you the most." I love Mommy the most too. The setting sun stretched our shadows long, one big, one small, leaning against each other. At this moment, I feel incredibly happy. Yes, life has dealt me a heavy blow, but I stood up and became even stronger. As for the future, who knows? Maybe I'll meet the right person. Maybe I'll stay single forever, but so what? I can support myself, have my daughter by my side, and a career to pursue. This life is already complete. One autumn later, I was invited to speak as a guest of honor at an investment summit. I put on my professional attire, which I hadn't worn in a long time, and stepped into high heels. The reflection in the mirror was both familiar and strange. "Consultant Lin, are you ready?" the assistant reminded from outside the door. Almost there. The venue was packed to capacity. I took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage. "Hello everyone, I'm Ria Lin. The topic I'd like to share with you today is the long-termism of value investing." The audience erupted in applause. I saw many familiar faces. Yuking, Su Mingyu, and some industry leaders. Then I saw him. Cruz Chen was sitting in the corner, staring intently at me. I froze for a moment, but quickly regained my composure. Investment is never something that can be achieved overnight. During the 40-minute speech, I never once looked in his direction. After it ended, I was immediately surrounded. "Consultant Lin, your ideas are Absolutely brilliant. Could we add each other on WeChat? I'd love to ask you some questions. Our company would like to invite you. After dealing with the enthusiastic audience, I was ready to leave. Ria Lin, a familiar voice called out from behind. I turned around, and there stood Cruz Chun. A year apart, he had changed a lot. His hair was cut short, wearing a simple shirt, and his gaze had become much steadier. Long time no see, he said. Yeah, your speech was brilliant. Thank you. The atmosphere was a bit awkward. He scratched his head. Do you have time for a coffee? I glanced at my watch. Is half an hour okay? I need to pick up Xiaoman soon. That's enough. We sat facing each other in the hotel cafe. So now I'm fine, he interrupted me, although I was demoted. The job is stable. That's good, but he looked at me. You've changed so much. People have to grow up eventually. He smiled bitterly. I was too foolish to see your worth. Let bygones be bygones. Ria Lin, he suddenly said. I regret it. I picked up the coffee cup and didn't respond. I've thought a lot this past year. He continued. I miss the best version of you. Cruz Chun, I put down the glass. We can't go back, I know. He lowered his head. I just wanted to tell you, how is Xiaoman doing? He changed the subject. Doing well, already in elementary school. Does she still hate me? Children don't know how to hate. I looked at him. But once trust is lost, it's hard to rebuild. He fell silent. You can visit her regularly, I said, as long as she's willing. Thank you. I stood up. I should go now. Ria Lin, he called out to me. Are you happy? I turned around and looked at him earnestly. Yes, I'm very happy. Stepping out of the cafe. The sunlight was just right. I didn't lie. I am truly happy with my own career, a lovely daughter, and a few close friends. The numbers in my bank account are still growing, but that's no longer the most important thing. What matters is that I found my own worth, not as someone's wife or someone's mother, but as Ria Lin, an independent individual. Another spring has arrived. Xiaoman is in 2nd grade now, excelling academically, and even becoming the class monitor. My career has also reached new heights, as I've established my own investment consulting firm. Congratulations, friends offered their well wishes at the opening ceremony. Thank you, everyone. Yuqing sent a flower basket. Who would have thought that the stay-at-home mom back then has now become a legend in the investment world? Don't exaggerate, I laughed. How is that an exaggeration? Su Mingyu chimed in. Do you know how many people are trying to poach you? As we were chatting, Xiaoman ran over. Mom, there's an uncle looking for you. I looked in the direction she pointed. A tall figure stood at the door, holding a bouquet of sunflowers. It was Xian Qingfeng, my senior from university, now a partner at a certain fund company. Congratulations on your opening, he said as he walked over and handed me the flowers. Thank you, senior. Don't call me senior anymore. He laughed. We're colleagues now. Yuqing nudged me quietly, his handsome. I glared at her. Mom. Who is this uncle? Xiaoman asked curiously, his mom's friend. Xian Qingfeng crouched down. You must be Xiaoman, right? So adorable. Xiaoman shyly hid behind me. Don't be afraid. He magically produced a small gift. This is for you from Uncle. It was an exquisite music box. Thank you, Uncle. Xiaoman accepted the gift. You're welcome. In the evening, after the celebration ended, Xian Qingfeng offered to take us home. No need to trouble yourself. It's on my way, he insisted. In the car, Xiaoman had already fallen asleep. Ria Lin, he suddenly spoke. I've waited for you for many years. I froze. I liked you since college, but you only had eyes for Cruz Chen. He smiled self-deprecatingly. Later, when you got married, I gave up. Senior, let me finish. He looked at me earnestly. Now that you're single, I was wondering, could you give me a chance? I fell silent. I don't need an answer right away, he said. I can wait. Qingfeng, I took a deep breath. Right now, I haven't even thought about these things. I understand, he said gently. It's hard for someone who's been hurt to believe in love again, but Rylan, not all men are like Cruz Chen. There are people who know how to appreciate your worth and cherish what you give. The car stopped downstairs. Thank you for driving us back. I got out of the car holding Xiaoman. Rylan, he called out to me. I'm serious. I nodded and turned to go upstairs. After settling Xiaoman down, I stood on the balcony lost in thought. My phone rang. It was a message from Cruz Chen. I saw the news. Congratulations. I didn't reply. Another message. I always knew you were outstanding. It was just that I was too foolish back then. I thought for a moment and replied with 2 words, "Thank you." Then the dialogue box was deleted. Some people are destined to remain in the past. As for the future, I gaze at the myriad lights outside the window. The future is still long, full of endless possibilities. Maybe I'll accept Xi and Qingfeng. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll remarry. Maybe I'll stay single forever, but no matter what, I won't lose myself again, because I finally understand. A woman's greatest confidence is never given by a man. It is earned by herself. Mom. Xiaoman called out to me drowsily. "What's wrong?" "Sweetie, I had a dream that Mommy turned into a superhero." What kind of superhero was Mommy? The most powerful superhero, she mumbled before falling back asleep. I tucked her in and planted a kiss on her forehead. "Thank you, my darling. You've made Mommy a better person." Outside the window, the night was gentle. A new day is about to begin.